you find yourselves in a tavern each.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
It's good. Beer for everyone.
You blink your eyes, everything goes hazy. You open them again, and you can see that the tavern's not your tavern. You see and look around, and the patrons have changed. You can now see that some of them are not moving, or have blinked out of existence. The only three that seem to be able to move are you three.
Okay. 4.
Yeah, we'll be cheap around then. Yeah.
In the 1970s, a guy called Gary Gygax wrote a wargaming set of rules called Chainmail, which had rules for fantasy races in it. So, it was the 70s, so a lot of hippies, people who read Lord of the Rings, and everyone was like, hey man, we could be an elf or a tree or something, and it got really big, and people started talking about playing the heroes of these armies. How could what would the heroes do when they weren't leading armies? So Gygax thought, well, I don't know, they'd probably go into big dungeons in the hole of the ground, kill monsters and steal their treasure. And hence Dungeons & Dragons was born. People don't have the same sort of relationship with shops that you had like 20 years ago. And we kind of wanted to create an environment which people had a different relationship with the shop. We would still have the same level of stock that a shop would have had 10 years ago or whatever, but instead of just selling it, we've created a space that people can just come and play games after work. And if you're a gamer, you can come in, you can chill out, you can chat to your friends about what the latest game is, and you can get in a few hours of board games or role-playing games or card games or war games, and then go home and sleep.
I mean, part of it is very much just kind of creating the atmosphere that Dave wanted to engender in the shop, like making it more of a community than a store. Like, in many respects, we're a store secondary, and a community and a place to gather and be gamers first and foremost.
I think that it looks like a toy store, and then it's got full of adults, if that's a good word. And people think that's a bit odd.
Yeah, I know when he's 2.5 feet.
I'm 4'6" and about 4'6" square.
How much do you weigh?
He's big, he's round.
Oh, you know,
300 pounds.
Don't weigh that much.
I would.
He does.
And I think the idea that you grow up, you move on, you change, you leave everything behind, which that makes no sense to me as a person. You don't leave parts of yourself behind. You have responsibilities and you are supposed to fulfill those responsibilities, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to do things that you found fun, as long as you've got time to continue to do the things that you found fun. It seems a strange thing to me, that it really does.
Fanboys is like a big party. It's a party for nerds every day of the week. Say you're running a good party and you kind of want people to come and have a good time. So they turn up to the party and they're like, oh, this is fantastic. this is a great party. Apart from the fact that the music's too loud, and there's no drinks, and the toilet's blocked, and someone's passed out under the sofa, and the fire alarm's going off. Whose party is it? And they go, it's that guy passed out under the sofa. It's his party. That's actually a rubbish party. I've been to that party, and it was a bit shit. You don't want to go to a party where the host is also a guest. You want to go to a party where the host is a host, who's running around going, hey, can I get you a refresh on that baby sham? That kind of party. So I've got to serve Nick now, that's something embarrassing. 2 Cokes, 140, 390. Okay. Pay for what later? And that as well? And so you really want 2 Cokes? There you go.
Is he paying on credit then?
He'll come back and pay me later. That's what my job is at Fanboy 3. Yeah. You asked before what I was. I'm the party host. That's the thing. I'm the person who has to care about whether all these people are having a good time. And often there's 40 of them and they all play different games. I want them all to have a good time because if they're happy, they buy more stuff. It's a secret. It's a business secret. Happy people spend more money.
I got Yu-Gi-Oh cards, some more Yu-Gi-Oh cards, books, some Krispy Kreme donuts, some more Yu-Gi-Oh cards, some paint, and some expansions for a game that I already have. I haven't spent all my money on Poke Day.
How much did you spend?
So far today, let's see, 380? I think about £380, half of it.
So that's the principle of Fanboy 3. You do everything, every little bit of it, in the best possible way for you if you were the customer. And then, hopefully, other people will come in and they'll go, wow, this is the coolest shop in the world. We're going to sit and play games all day. If we don't have the money to pay for something, David's probably going to go, yeah, fine, let's come back at the end of the night and pay. It's probably, they're probably not going to do a runner for, £5 worth of Coke and chocolate. Probably not.
I'm Pelor.
I know you. Well, I know of you.
Well, you should. I'm one of the very few good gods that keeps the rules around here. One of our informants, we should say, has told us that there's a ritual which Orcus is trying to become a god. If you gain godhood, it would certainly bring war to all of your worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah? This is small for a god, though, yeah?
Hmm?
This is small. I was expecting, something a bit bigger, yeah?
He'll be their mortal form.
I appear in my human form,
Yes.
the one that I was before I became a god.
What's Dungeons and Dragons?
I would say it's probably like Lord of the Rings, but you get to play and decide what the characters actually do in the film. So you can decide not to give Frodo the ring or to give Frodo the ring in the situation.
That's the thing. The thing it's closest to is a game of consequences. We all play consequences, Fortunately, I was walking down the street one day and I stumbled on a magic treasure map. Unfortunately, you can't read the treasure map. Fortunately, I've got a man around the corner who is well versed in dwarven runes. Unfortunately, he charges his arm and a leg for it. Fortunately, I have a spare arm and a leg. So, that sort of thing. Game of consequences. D&D is kind of like that. The Dungeon Master is all the unfortunately's, and you as a player are the fortunatelys. You're always trying to come up with things your character might do in a certain situation. And you're kind of trying to get the best possible result for yourself.
You're like a Dungeon Master sometimes. What's the difference there?
What's the difference in that? It's about being in control. It's about... Okay, that might be a bad thing to say. It is. It's about telling a story.
It's kind of like a board game without a board, but that just makes it sound a bit zen, doesn't it? It's like, hey, it's a board game without a board, and the pieces are space cats.
At basic level, it's sort of a board game which you basically get to chat with your friends and make a whole world out of. It's not limited to the actual board. It's more your imagination.
In a game, you can be pretty much anything you want to be, within the, loosely within the confines of the game. But there's pretty much capacity to do pretty much anything, and that's I think the appeal for just about everyone who plays role-playing games.
The card game side of it, in many respects, is what funds the store, whereas the evening things for the role players is just, it creates that kind of community effect that he wanted. M&M's is a new addition, exciting. Trixes, Whisper Golds, Maltesers, Mars Bars, Snickers, the usual fare. Yep, one Dr Pepper. It's £1.30. Like 4 hours is probably a short period of time. If they're in for like an evening role playing, they're here from 7 till 11, so keeps them from having to leave the shop essentially. Once they're in, they don't leave.
There's a lot of my friends that have sort of learning disabilities and stuff like that relate to the whole imagery and the imagination rather than real life, which I find quite boring. And a lot of people that do have learning difficulties find gaming attractive, and I feel it's for the same sort of reasons that they have the break from their actual normal world.
I have an anxiety disorder, which probably isn't coming across on camera. You are worried about the way in which you're interacting with people. You're worried about the way you come across, and the more you do that, the worse you get. And you start to worry about whether people are going to think you're odd because you're anxious, and then it gets to a point where people think you are weird simply because you're just so taciturn and quiet, and then it's not good, because I'm not that person. It's very easy to come in and somebody will be organising something, or will go, how about trying this, and it's a good atmosphere, and it sort of builds. It's a good thing.
Because you know what's surprising? Fire surprising! Hellfire and brimstone on all of them. Okay.
That's why GMing's good for me. It's interact with a large group of players that I don't necessarily know, and yeah. Hang on. It was Kia, wasn't it, who I was playing? I can't remember. Sorry. Right.
Is that yours?
This is Kia, yeah. I didn't paint it. I picked somebody with a large hammer who runs around and hits things, and she's sort of this pseudo-Scandinavian Russian. You can see it from the thing. I like heroes. I like my heroes, and this isn't necessarily a good thing.
Can I have a battle formation, please? You're going to start about here.
Why is your figure so big?
Because I haven't got to, I can't take it off that base, and I can't afford to actually buy the figure.
That's fine. Given that you're supposed to be tiny, that's a tad large.
I'm projecting myself as bigger. I've got prestidigitation. It's totally possible.
That's what she said.
This is the longest lived character. Made him about 3-4 years ago now, I think.
What's his name?
Kriv. He is a dragonborn barbarian with a very unhealthy taste for statues and doors. Giant dragon in the room? No. There's a door over there. Door goes first.
Everybody has a different personal relationship between the little miniature and the thing. Some people like it to be an extension of their character, so they'll go, I like this miniature.
So who's this guy?
It's a musical performer Mark III, otherwise known as MP3. The bard. And I made this character because she's just always fun to play. You can just sat there and go, "What are you calling me small for?" Boom, and punch them in the face. Or groin, probably more likely. She's not going to reach the face. We all know she's not going to reach the face.
You choose something that matches your personality when you build your character. That's what I mean by you're bringing yourself to the table. It's sort of scary from that perspective. Especially when you're interacting with people you've never met before.
I made this one because I wanted a dead thing, and she's a warlock with the demon pact.
Clearly, it's a game that uses your imagination. I mean, you can use words like escapism, and it'd be true because people do that. It's the same thing as playing computer games. It's the same thing as it's an escape from whatever you're doing. It's a thing, but people play themselves. People play things that they want to be, and then you can take it beyond that. You can play things that you may never be. It gives you insight.
Some of them I have like an idea when I build the character, what I want them to be and what I want them to do. But most of the time, it's I've found a character concept I wanted to play. She's pretty much the perfect figure, so it's why I chose her. I mean, this one isn't quite right. It's that she's actually a 16-year-old psychotic girl.
As time goes on, you play yourself. You move on, you sort of like play idealised versions of bits and pieces of your own character. You move on a bit more, you're like, well, I've done this, what's it like to be the evil madman who cackles in his sleep and plots the murder of the people he's accompanying in his own bed, Not that I personally would ever do that.
I'll be a 16-year-old girl who loves killing people, grotting them, and then sort of like jumping up and down on the bodies and skipping with the spike chain.
Want to tell us where this is then?
This is my room. The awesomest and worst place in the house. Being that the mess has somehow accumulated over the last 5 days. I've got quite a lot of DVDs, as you can probably tell, spanning the entire area of there. Under here, piles about everywhere, all over the floor. I've also got a lot of plastic figures, the Final Fantasy ones, Tron figures, Doctor Who figures, some ones of Japanese anime characters in uniforms from trains, and World of Warcraft figures, because I used to totally play that game. And then lots of D&D and Marvel and HorrorClick figures. And each of those drawers is full of magic cards. You do not want to know how much money's worth of cards is there, because I'd work it out and then cry. Well, I've got an awesome Japanese teapot. I've got two Chinese teapots over there. There I've got Pokemon figures you can't really see very well. And in a box in there I've got all of the old little Pokemon figures I used to have. Yeah, of course I've got big boxes of Lego. What kind of geek would I be if I didn't have big boxes of Lego? Well, I mean, I bought those Tron figures recently. I mean, they were £5 each. I spent £20 on them. They're really freaky. And they talk really weird. Why anyone would buy them, I don't know. But there's a lot of money to randomly waste on items I'm never going to use. I think that collecting is more of a decoration thing. I like my room to be nice and homely. I am 24, going on 25. I live with both my parents. Our parents have been Salvation Army the entirety of my life. It's a Salvation Army owned house. So they own the house, and then my parents sort of get to live here, so I get to live here too. I have no real life plans or anything at the moment. Planning for me is a very bad idea, because then you start planning about future, and then there is future, and then you get stressed about future, and then blah 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 blah. So yeah. Well, I failed university. I quite spectacularly failed university, in fact. My first year, I went slightly insane by the end of the first year and ended up setting fire to a load of the work I did. I had a slight mental breakdown. I got extremely stressed and depressed, and yeah, so I went a bit crazy. So then had to sort of pull out of university altogether, and haven't gone back since. So.
I don't know if it sounds really bad if you say, there's quite a few people that have come through Fanboy and not done well at university. it perhaps has taken up too much of their time, the hobby as a whole. I mean, like gaming as a hobby can be a very, very time-consuming thing. And I think gamers almost as a group of people can be quite bad at time management or prioritising important things, university education being one of them.
I chill. I chill and life's good at the moment. I have a job, but I get paid more money than I actually need. I randomly waste it on DVDs and card games and a new computer next month because I'm gonna be paid like £900, so screw it. I might buy myself like a £300 or £400 laptop because it's better than the piece of shit I've got at the moment. And I can afford to waste that much money on a piece of technology I don't particularly need. Because it's the Western world. That's what you're supposed to do. Have lots of money and waste it frivolously on items you don't need.
I think gamers as a whole are a lot more kind of laid back. You know, so long as they've got enough money to have a roof over their head, pay the bills, and be able to eat, then that's fine.
You need more minions.
Flying monkeys is what I need.
As a
Flying
flunkies, not minions.
monkeys.
By definition,
When did
yeah,
you
as a
become the
flunkies,
Wicked
not
Witch of the
minions.
West? Hang on. You're a very weird god, Pillar, I'll give you that much.
Anyway, as you step out, you can see a long, winding corridor. You can basically see what is on the map now.
It's not that hard to explain to people, and I think it has maybe a stigma attached to it that. But then so many things do, you know. It's hardly like we're running around with whips spanking each other or anything. And I really shouldn't have said that.
We'll just edit that.
Yeah, edit that in. Yeah, brilliant.
I did engineering at university, but as I mentioned earlier, I did quite badly and just dropped out for a number of reasons.
Originally I was doing an architecture degree, and then I got very ill with the anxiety and had to drop out. That's basically what happened. But yeah, I almost certainly wouldn't have stayed there as long as I did if I hadn't met the people that I met through the role-playing society. They were very good people, supportive and understanding, and it kept me going, you know.
And I realised that I just didn't have enough time in the day to do all the things I wanted to do. When I came to university, I had to work part-time, so basically what it boiled down to was I had to do part-time work, I had to do uni work. I really wanted to still have some free time to game because otherwise I'd go crazy. That is basically my R&R, you know. That was, if I didn't do gaming, then I'd have no relax kind of time, essentially. That was what I did to relax.
It's a big release to come here. It's like one of the safe places. Everyone has a safe place somewhere. Sometimes it'll be either your room or your parents' house or a certain seat in a cafe maybe. You'll just go there and you'll just relax and you'll be the safest you are. And everybody has that somewhere. But mine's like here. I like coming here. I have lots of friends here. It reminds me of Cheers. You go in and it's like, Jonathan, everyone knows who you are.
It doesn't really matter what the game is. What matters is you hang out with a group of people who want to hang out with you, and the dice rolling, and the pizza, and the beverages, and the dice, and the figures, and all the other stuff is all ephemeral. It's just about chilling out and having a good time. And you could easily do that in any number of other ways. It's just D&D is one of those ways. And for people who haven't tried it, they might like it.
If someone just comes in and goes, "Oh, I want to role play," and I go, "What do you want to role play?" They go, "I don't care." And you're like, "Excellent. Encounters is for you because, anyone can come in, doesn't matter who you are, you get given a character and it's almost expected that there'll be a new face every other week."
I'm doing English and creative writing at university this time. I'm about to finish up my degree and it's all gone very well. I think it took me a long time to get over the anxiety, and places like this helped. People like my friends have helped, and I finally, in this place where I can talk to people.
All humans want to be, or people want to be two things. They want to be an individual. But they also want to be part of a thing larger than themselves. And it's that competing poles, individual, mass, individual, that places like Fanboys 3 allow you to be both, you know? And that's kind of like a really important thing, being able to make connections. We kind of lost it because the internet allows us to do it so easily in the virtual world, and yet it's so hard to do it in the real world. The world shouldn't be like that. The world should be like this, Fanboy 3.
I think you need to be, as a player, you need to have a good sense of humour. You need to not be able to take it too seriously.
I'm such an arse.
There's always this strange disbelief that the entire thing still exists. It's sort of like, you know, like, I guess it's like wizards in Harry Potter, I guess. Nobody would believe that wizards still existed, even if you told them. Not that wizards still exist.
Only in here, I imagine.